Hi, hello, and welcome to this episode of Geography Girl. I hope you're doing well. Today, in this final edition of spooky season, I've got an absolute corker for you. I'm so excited to share it. So make sure you've got yourself a cup of tea, maybe a spiced chai latte or something pumpkin spiced. Hit that subscribe button and buckle up because it's a wild ride. William Little is an Irish man who was by all accounts eccentric. He arrived from Ireland to London in the mid-60s, where he lived on 121 Mortimer Road in a Victorian house in Hackney in East London that he inherited from his parents. From the outside, it looked like any other decrepit old house. Its roof was caved in, the windows were boarded up, and its walls adorned with cracked paint. But what was hidden deep inside its basement stunned the residents of Hackney. William Little might have been eccentric, but yet his life was a complete mystery. On records, Little was a civil engineer, but evidence of any qualifications or a career is hard to come by. When he was found dead in June 2010, obituary writers were at a loss with very few verifiable facts. There was no obvious next of kin, his hometown in Ireland was unknown, and he had spent almost all of his last 3 years at a nearby hotel paid for by Hackney Council. Little had been moved to this pricey location due to a peculiar preoccupation. In his own words, "I'm just a man who loves to dig." After evicting Little from his family home, the council found a warren of tunnels, 8 metres deep and 20 metres wide, and supported by makeshift concrete pillars. In a project of home improvements that spanned 40 years, he dug under roads, neighbours' houses using a spade and a homemade pulley. It began by Little digging a wine cellar, and then he found a taste for the thing and kept on digging for the next 40 years. He even dug deep enough to penetrate the water table, endangering his neighbours' properties to risk of flooding. One time, he tapped into a 450-volt cable, meaning that the whole other side of the street lost power. He dumped the excavated clay into his garden and into empty rooms within the house. He tunnelled in secret, but altered the main building of his house into a series of bedsits, which he would rent out to students and artists at a cheap price. It all came to a head in 2006, when the pavement in front of Mr. Little's house collapsed, creating a large hole in the road. You could see all the tunnels sprawling out all over the place inside. It was crazy, said one woman who lives nearby. This large sinkhole prompted further complaints, and the council undertook an ultrasound inspection, which revealed the baffling extent of the tunnels. The council was so concerned about these tunnels that they rerouted the 76 bus, picturing the nightmare of if the ground opened up under the weight of the bus. Some neighbours were perturbed, angry, whilst others were more forgiving. "We don't wish to harm on the man," said William Legg, 76. "He's a hard-working man, he just doesn't use his energy in the right way. Everyone around here just wants to see the place made safe." After living in his property for 40 years, Little was evicted to give engineers some time to fill in the holes with 2,000 tonnes of aerated concrete and remove 30 tonnes of rubble, 3 car wreckages and a boat, costing the council $500,000 in today's money. Little was ordered to pay this debt, but died without ever repaying it back. After many failed attempts to sell the property, it finally sold for $1.2 million in 2012 to 2 artists, one being Sue Webster, who had fallen in love with the property. Contractors tried to persuade her to pull the building down and start again, but she was so taken by the raw audacity of the mole man's work with its sharp angles and contrast. She redesigned the house, but did salvage a lot of the original features of Little's work. Webster describes not knowing what she was going to find. Was it going to be a pot of gold? And she was half convinced that she might find Little's wife. In 2021, the Mole House won Best Dwelling at the 2021 London Awards. Little himself spent 3 years in a hotel, costing Hackney Council the equivalent of £67,000, before being rehoused in a flat and high-rise building. He was put on the top floor to discourage tunnelling. Whilst he was there, he kicked a hole in the door, dividing the wall between 2 rooms. To many, this act of breathtaking architectural self-mutilation, combined with the whimsy of modern fable, as the Financial Times so eloquently puts it, it is unfathomable as to why somebody would do this. Rumour had it that he was trying to tunnel his way to Barclays Bank with the intention of someday robbing it. Over the years, all types, to artists, to psychographers and the debt collectors, have tried to extract the truth from the man, but they have failed. One photographer, Karen Russo, was allowed into his home to create the only public photos of the tunnel system. Russo reported that Mole Man proved to be extraordinarily difficult to work with. He was extremely racist, misogynistic, and paranoid, according to Russo, and was only interested in talking about her sex life. His elusive, subterranean behaviour, she says, was in many ways like that of a mole. And his obsession with tunnels was the ultimate Freudian manifestation. In her gallery blog, Russo tells us that the project was cut short as her encounter with the eccentric and aggressive man ended in violence against me, and I subsequently decided to end the project. In Little's own words, there is great beauty in inventing things that serve no purpose. I don't mind the title of inventor, he said. Inventing things that don't work is a brilliant thing, you know? People are always asking what the big secret is, and you know what? There isn't one. And that's it for today's episode. I don't really know what to say. I'm quite lost for words. This one got weirder and weirder, and it was horrible at the end hearing about how he treated Karen Russo. I have cycled around Hackney many times, and I would never have imagined that there was underground tunnels, whether or not they've been filled in by concrete. I think it's just a fascinating and wacky kind of story. So let me know your thoughts on this one. Have you heard of it? And are there any weird, wacky or wonderful stories like this from your hometown? But yeah, that's it for spooky season. I hope you enjoyed it. We're back to normal programming for the month of November, and I'm thinking about doing a festive themed mini-series. So if you would love a festive treat, then please let me know in the comments. And also please make sure that you hit that subscribe button, as I release new episodes every Tuesdays, and I have some absolute belters in the works for you, and I don't want you to miss a second of it.